The impact of car blindness on the availability of insurance, health insurance, and coverage for medical treatment for crash victims is one of the hardest things that I need to explain to clients, and I find myself doing it over and over and over again, multiple times each day. Here's how it works in a jurisdiction like New York State. In New York State, if you get hurt in an incident involving use or operation of a motor vehicle, maybe it didn't even hit you, you might have the best insurance on earth from your job, from your spouse, from any old source. You are not permitted to use that insurance. You are supposed to be using the no-fault insurance carried by the driver of the vehicle that caused harm to you. No fault is primary. And in certain ways, no fault as primary insurance is better than any other health insurance you can get, because there's no co-payments, there's no deductibles, there's no insurance company gatekeeping like you have with private insurance. But on the downside, the reimbursement rates are extremely low. They're pegged to the rates paid for workers' compensation medical treatment, which are at least 15 years old, probably more like 20 or 30. And most doctors wouldn't do the work for the reimbursement rates that no-fault insurance offers. But it doesn't matter. You don't really get a choice. If you try to use your own work-based or spousal health insurance for motor vehicle crash-related injuries, you could end up with a huge bill from that insurer saying, oh, no, you were supposed to use the Geico or Progressive insurance of the driver who hit you. Let me explain a little bit about the differences, because what it shows is how accustomed we've become to insurers creating barriers between people who need healthcare treatment and their providers. So the ordinary course of things with work or other private insurance is that the insurer has the right to pre-approve any expensive procedures or unusual procedures. There's this gatekeeping role the insurer plays where they prevent you, for example, from getting an MRI after some kind of a fall or other injury that could have resulted in sprains or tears to, connective tissue in your body, because it's expensive. It's an expensive test. It's not a dangerous test. There's almost no risk associated with taking an MRI, but it costs a lot of money. It yields tremendous helpful information to help the person suffering from the sprain or tear know exactly what is torn. It can be invaluable to physiatrists and orthopedists and physical therapists who will help that person overcome the effects of the tear, help their body heal. But insurers don't want to pay for it. They just say, do some physical therapy. Even in some of the best health plans around, they'll want you to pay a copay of $50 or $75 for each visit with the physical therapist. They say, do that physical therapy for 8 weeks and then come back. And if your doctor still thinks that you're overcoming sprains or tears or that the physical therapy isn't helping you, well, maybe then we'll pay for an MRI. The no-fault insurance, it's completely different. I like to analogize it to the difference between when you have lights in your house, like an on and off switch versus a dimmer switch. So the typical insurer has this dimmer switch where they can fine-tune exactly what healthcare you're going to get, exactly what procedures your doctor is able to do, what diagnostic tests they're able to run. With no fault, it's an older system before all this gatekeeping came up, and it's just an off or on switch. If you get hit by a driver and you and your doctor can just decide what healthcare you need, and the insurer cannot refuse to pay. The rates are low, but they're high enough so that pretty much anyone who has a doctor who says you should get an MRI after your motor vehicle crash, you can get that MRI without the insurance company playing that gatekeeping role. And there's no copayment and no deductible. And it just shows you how the insurers have been rationing the health care that we need to stay healthy and fully functioning. They've been withholding it, and oddly, this area of no-fault insurance has been this sort of backwater, this archaic backwater where the insurance don't have the upper hand. In fact, the only way that a motor vehicle insurer can turn off that on-off switch on your no-fault coverage is if they get you in front of their insurance company doctor in person, and the doctor declares you not in need of any other medical treatment. So once you get hit, you're going to be getting these calls from the insurer of the driver who hit you saying, oh, we've got to get you to the doctor, right? What they really are wanting to do is get you in front of their full-time paid doctor who's going to declare you most likely not in need of any further health care and treatment, and not certainly in need of any diagnostic procedure that might uncover the severity of the injury involved, even though that insurer is supposed to be providing the coverage in a way that is creates a fiduciary obligation to you as their policyholder, much the same as you expect your healthcare insurer from work or elsewhere to be thinking about your health and well-being. The motor vehicle insurers are supposed to be wearing that same hat when they're assessing you for purposes of your no-fault insurance, but of course they're not. And it's very interesting to see the rules that have been developed in the no-fault context. There's a treating physician rule that says if your physician thinks you need physical therapy, it doesn't matter what the insurance company doctor thinks. The treating physician's idea rules. You know, you're not allowed to, as an insurance company, just hire a doctor full-time and have them declare all the people who need healthcare coverage for their injuries are just fine and don't need it anymore. This is how it's litigated. So it's this bizarre sort of set of two parallel universes, and it's the last thing that you want to be thinking about. If you just got hurt, if maybe you've lost income, you've got maybe a lot of different problems stemming from your injuries, to suddenly say, I have these two competing healthcare systems. The no-fault insurer is trying to get me in front of their doctor. The private health insurer may be sending me a bill for my healthcare insurance even though I paid them their premiums. It's really a nightmare. And it's particularly interesting to see people from foreign countries, particularly from Europe, other countries where there's a national healthcare system or a single-payer system. They don't have anything like this. They don't have these Byzantine rules and pitfalls and mazes to trick patients into getting stuck with the bill for their own health care. That is purely and distinctively American aspect of health care that we've just got to change.